I know that not everyone prefers milk chocolate over dark chocolate. In fact, on the way out of the 8 o'clock service, someone said, "Pastor, you did okay. But the truth is, dark chocolate is better than sweet chocolate." All things in moderation. My mother-in-law, as a medical prescription, is required to eat dark chocolate because it helps her blood and cholesterol and something else. Not sweet chocolate, dark chocolate. But I thought about her coming on the way out, and she was so wise to say that to me because she made the point of the sermon well beyond what I made. And the point she made was, we all have our preferences. We all prefer one thing over another. And oftentimes what we prefer, what we like, what we want is where we remain. It's what we protect. It's what we guard. It's ours. And some things in our lives, no matter what other people say or what they think, it's our preferences that keep us locked in a particular place in life. In the story, it's all about Jesus revealing his glory, revealing that he is God's Son. It's the first miracle in the Gospel of John. Jesus starts out kind of simple. He's warming up. And he takes water and transforms it to wine. And we hear that the disciples believe in his glory through his action. We also learn that perhaps Jesus didn't listen to his mom as good as we would hope. Because when his mother points out the wine is out, Jesus says to his mom, "Woman, what concern is that of yours and mine? My hour has not yet come." But nonetheless, the miracle still happens. Someone suggested to me, "Pastor, would you just please preach about listen to your mother today?" I think that's a good lesson. So all of you, please listen to your mother, for she speaks with love and the best intentions in mind. And so as we in our life focus on our preferences, we also focus on the things that we love, the good stuff. And I must admit, when it comes to the good stuff, I'm selfish a little bit. And sometimes I like to save the good stuff for me. Case in point, I was blessed to harvest some deer this year. And I'm pretty sure I did not give away the best part of that animal, the tenderloin, to anyone else. Now, I know I shared some hamburger, and I know I cut the bones up to share with another family who likes to share them with their dogs. But I didn't share the tenderloin. That's still in my freezer. Because that's the good stuff. And I want the good stuff. I also remember as a dad growing up at seminary, we were challenged economically. And we always wanted our kids to have the good stuff too. And it was oftentimes sad because we couldn't provide the good stuff. Not in comparison to their peers in school. One time our daughter went to a birthday party sleepover, and when she came home, she told us about the mansion she was in, and that they had butlers and servants in the home that were taking their drink orders for the party with little umbrellas fruit drinks and juices. And she came back to live in her very simple townhouse. The good stuff, she thought, was over there. So we recognize the good stuff in our lives. And that is one of the great possibilities of life, is that we will run out of the good stuff. And so sometimes as a parent or a believer or a person of faith, we preserve and protect what the good stuff is, or what we think it is. And it creates a bit of a fear almost that we'll run out of the good stuff. And so I must admit that sometimes it's not always selfish that we hold something in reserve. We want to make sure we don't run out of the good stuff. Absolutely. But if that fear of running out becomes the determinant force in our life, I actually think we miss the good stuff for fear of not having the good stuff. Because in the end, the story teaches us that the good stuff has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with you and I. The good stuff comes when Jesus gets his hand in the water and causes transformation. At the party, there was a problem that occurred, and that was the wine had run out. Jesus didn't identify the problem, rather his mother did. And as I had already stated, she said to Jesus, "The wine's out." Jesus responds, "What is that, my problem, not your problem?" But then Jesus' mother does something very interesting. She is done talking with Jesus. She must have been a wonderful Jewish mother, because she was all done talking with Jesus. And she turned to those present and said, "Do whatever he says." Oh, I love that part. Jesus is like, "Not my problem." She turns away. "Do whatever he says," almost as if to say, "Jesus, mother." So those who have gathered now listen to what Jesus says, and he tells them, take these old stone jars that were symbolic of the Torah, jars that are symbolic of the old faith, the old religion, jars that are, in a sense, representing our Old Testament faith in the law, in righteousness. Jesus says, take those and fill them with water. And so they do. I think in our life, we still run into the same problem, in that we're worried what it is we're running out of, what it is that's going to empty, where it is we have no more. And even for us, it's the fear of running out. It's the fear of not having the right words. It's the fear of thinking I don't have enough to go on. It's the fear of thinking I have my hand on the good stuff already and I don't want to let it go. You know, one of the parts of this story that I truly love and identify with is that most people at the wedding have no idea the problem exists. Jesus' mother identifies the problem. The servants act on the problem, but all the others are just guests. Very few people are in the know, so to speak. But at times, we are in the know. And one of the lessons we are invited to remember is that when we recognize something is about out, it's time to remember to fill it with water. The water of baptism, the water that brings us to Christ, the water that tells us we identify with Jesus and his leadership and power and grace and glory. Fill it with water. and then do whatever Jesus tells us to do. Our fear of running out causes us to act and behave in ways that are doubtful, restrictive. And I understand that it is difficult. In the story, Jesus tells the stewards to draw from that water and bring it to the chief steward. And now after this occurs, the chief steward goes to the groom, who has no idea what has occurred, and says to the groom, "My friend, most people serve the bad stuff first, and they wait till people have had too much, and then they bring out the cheap stuff. You have saved the best wine till now. Well done." But it's all the people who are also present at the party. They now get to taste the good stuff. They taste the real deal. They taste that which is better than what human hands held on to and provided. They taste what happens when God becomes involved through the miraculous transformation of Jesus Christ, and how that affects everyone around them. Nobody did a thing. They just got exposed to what the good stuff really was. Sometimes we just don't know what's the good stuff and what's not. My daughter Samantha's in Costa Rica right now, study abroad. One of the cute things she said to me last week was, "They put food in front of me, and I eat it, but I often don't know what it was." I laughed and I said, "Well, good for you. Keep having faith and keep doing these things, and certainly you're going to like one thing better than another, but trust them. They won't feed you anything that will hurt you." And I think with us, we oftentimes may forget what it is we're eating, what we're consuming. And I think for us, sometimes we stick with what our preference is versus what might be the good stuff. Today, I want to remind you that Jesus is still in the business of meeting us where we think we've run out. Jesus is still in the business of transformation and sharing the good stuff, not only with us, but with the world around us. For when we recognize those fears, when we recognize we're on empty, when we fill it with the waters of baptism, and we just hope for Jesus to transform, it happens. Mary says, "Do whatever he tells you." And so today I invite you to take whatever it is that is your fear and concern and fill it with the waters of baptism. Bring it to Jesus, and then do whatever it is he tells you to do. And trust that by faith, the good stuff is what Jesus puts in front of us. And as we are able to do that, through God's power, people around us, they also enjoy the power of God that comes through us. And so we have a chance to keep sharing with the world the good stuff. Yes, those who were present believed in Jesus through his miracle. Is there any doubt people can still believe in Jesus through the miracles of our lives? I say God is still working and transforming in our lives. Believe it. Trust it. When you taste the good stuff, you'll know it. And you know God has helped you in that process. Amen.